Hi there, brick builders. Today we have a mod, mine, which is based on a mod, Mould Kings, which is based on a mock, which is Kevin Mo's Forklift. We're talking about Mould King YX 13106, the forklift, which is a Technic set having 1719 pieces, no minifix, is in 1 to 10 scale and weighs about 1.6 kilograms. It's 42 centimeters long and 17 wide, and when not extended, it measures 21 centimeters in height. When extended, and it's about 40 centimeters then. The designer is Kevin Mo, who licensed his set to Mould King. I did receive the set in a beautiful brown box, and therefore what we have here are the packages. Those are in steps. They got 6 steps, 6 packages with pieces in there, and a set of instructions and a nice pink dream catcher. So let's have a look at the instructions. As per usual for Mould King in the last year or so, you first get all the motors and stickers for them to put them on there, so that you know where to have to connect everything with the battery box or with the lithium ion battery box. Then we have the instructions themselves. There's nothing grayed out. It's all in their colors. The first ones are just black, and there are a lot of sub-assemblies and a lot of arrows to where to put the things, and also the rotations and viewing angles are met quite well. There are stickers in here. There are not many of them, and but they're not only the one for the motors. There are also things like for the load and a bit of stickers for the forklift itself. All in all, you got 314 steps in these instructions. I said 6 main parts and 6 bags for those main parts, which there are bags and bags of course in there. In addition, we have the electric stuff. We got 5 motors, 1 L motor for the steering. We got 2 L motors for the angling of the fork. We got 1 to lift it up and put it down. And we got 1 XL motor for the driving. And then we got a battery box, a lithium ion battery box with a remote. This is the set as Mould King delivers it. All the parts are hopefully correctly installed there, and we can now lift the fork and tilt it and move forward and backward and left and right with the back steering. But you might already seen it. First, moving forward and backward is rather jumpy, and if I let the sound in, you might have spotted a bit of rattling. In reality, this rattling is much worse, and the problem is that the XL motor just overdrives the differential so that the gears are skipping. So I tried to get rid of this skipping and the overdriving of the drivetrain, but to no avail to this point. But what I managed to do was this. Yes, this is the main board of the battery box, and as you can see, some of the resistors and at least 1 capacitor went bang and puffed up in smoke. Later I was told this is due to using the box while charging it. I have to say that I use the port on my charger that is rated for 5 watts and doesn't do any more. So the situation left me puzzled, and of course I still had the problem with the differential. So I decided not to simply change the box, but to put something else in. And what we see here is this putting in of this box. This box is a bit bigger, so I had to put the firewall behind the box a bit further to the back, and it worked perfectly. This time the box does has 6 ports, not only 4, and as you might have already spotted, it's the analog Mould King box, which works perfectly with the motors from Mould King and can be driven analog, which is what I needed for this forklift. So I now can try to start the motor going without overloading the diff and without these terrible noises. And I also put on the lifting and tilting of the fork to the shoulder buttons. There are 2 axles which are digital, these are the shoulder buttons, and there are 4 axes that are analog, which is up and down, left and right for the left and right stick. Using this technique, the usage of the forklift, it's much better. It didn't, of course, improve my driving skills, but it's not that mediocre than before. Primarily, you can even use the forward and backward now with greater steering angles, which didn't work with the other box at all. Therefore, loading and unloading our little load here does work much faster. And as long as I keep concentrated, the rattling is also much less. Also, the remote that comes with the new battery box has a USB battery inside, can be charged and doesn't need any battery changes anymore. So that's the first part of the modding I did. The next part that bothered me was that you can't see the battery box as it is and there's nothing to hide it there. This might even be realistic to some forklifts, but I didn't like it and therefore I need something like a cover there, and that is what I did. You might consider this one ugly, but if you have a better design, please put that in the comments. And also, those tiles I used there were used and they weren't really clean, but it doesn't really bother me. Here we have another look at the new battery box from the top. As I said, 6 channels with everything you can put something on there. I used 4 of them, the 2 digital channels for the tilting and the up and down of the fork, and the 2 analog channels for the steering and the drivetrain. You could also see the result of the cable management. I modded a bit there as well, putting in some lift arms to hold the cables down. Basically, they're all stuffed behind the battery box in there and there's not really a problem. The only time you really see cables is when you look from the bottom. There you can see the cables from the motors going direct up to the battery box. So getting to the smaller mods in here, first of all the step plates on the sides had still studs on there. I remedied that with some tiles. Then let's have a look at the bottom of the set. There I put in another tile, a longer one there, that fixates these movable pieces in there for a certain amount, which closes the gap in the back a bit. Normally forklifts do have those gaps to put in some hooks to hook something on the forklift to pull it. In this case the gap was for me rather big, so I closed it a bit down with the plate on the underside. Here we have a little comparison. On the right the state after modding, on the left the state before modding. Then we have the cover, which I remove now to switch on the set, and the photos which also have the remote with the USB plug inside there and the 2 joystick pieces and the shoulder buttons. Finally, I got a holder for the remote to put this one on the fork, so that if you put the set on your shelf, the remote isn't lost or something like that. So with the picture of the dual loading of the remote and the battery box, we switch over to the building phase. Yes, we do that a bit early today, since we have a rather large Technic set. This is gonna take a while, and while this is running, I show you a bit more of the set. So next we get to see the original battery box that comes with the set, as well as the remote, which is battery powered, AAA powered as most of them. then we still miss a function that a normal forklift does have, and that is the weight of the fork, precisely to change the weight of the forks. Most of the forklifts I know do that manually, and that is what you can do with this forklift as well. You can even put the forks off center, which is also sometimes useful in real life. And then we have another big feature of this set, which wasn't part of any discussion right now. You get a load delivered. It's a barrel on a pallet with a sticker around the barrel, and that's basically it. Now we try to weigh the set. I guess the viewing angle is not that good, but maybe you trust me if I say it's 1.61 kilograms that my scale shows. And that's the modded version. And then we got the scale again. This time I'm gonna weigh 3 flashlights and a bit of a construction under there for 460 grams. So why I'm doing that? The answer is I want to know how much weight the forklift can lift. And as we're seeing here, our 460 grams are lifted quite easily in the lower parts of this gravity experiment here, but the further the fork goes up, the harder it is for the lift to keep it up. In the end we get another cork that is making funny noises there, so at a certain height that's the limit to do so. In the end, I guess the 460 grams or just about 400 grams should be the limit to lift with this forklift, which in my opinion is rather good. It's sufficient. In this ABS world you will rather have loads that are much heavier than this one, which can be put on a pallet like this here. Now we get some more loading and unloading action here. I have to excuse myself for my driving skills again, so this scene is much longer than it should have been if I was able to do a bit better with the driving. But what I tried was fiddling with the drivetrain of this forklift even more and moving cogs, greasing stuff and rearranging things had a bit of an effect. The forklift did run even better than with the other test, but it's still not really foolproof or children-proof as I would have liked it. So it'll still need a bit of work here, but it does what it should, but it's not for use with kids at the moment. It still is rattling if you overload the drivetrain. So while I'm struggling with the maneuvering of this forklift, please have a look at the building phase that is also commencing here. And if you stay tuned, you're gonna see that the forklift is gonna be able, really fine-tuned and really with caution, lifting the heavy weight from the one platform and putting it over to the other one, and also using the standard load to lift it from a greater height and putting it on the other platform. But of course this forklift runs a bit on the edge of that what those pieces can do, and since these pieces are GoBricks pieces, it is running on the edge of what any brick can do in ABS here. Which brings me a bit towards the conclusion for the set here. Yes, it is Mould King, and of course yes, these are GoBricks, so you don't have any problems with colors, with forms, with things working together. The only thing you have is that the pins really need to be pushed in harder than with Lego or even with Carda. And with that I mean the dark gray, light gray and black pins, and not the blue ones, which the set hasn't. The stickers in here are far and few between. You don't have any prints there, and even the stickers, yes, you need the ones for the motors, but the rest, it wouldn't hurt if you don't just put them on. The instructions are generally better than most others, but they still had hurdles for me since I'm not a god in technique building, and I had to scratch my head quite sometimes in order to get the things right. But I guess that's me and not Mould King or the designer here. The quality of the pieces is like a Go brick. It's phenomenal in the end. Every function does work, which is not normal for a mock, at least for a bigger one. At least every function works when you put them without any load in. The problem with the drivetrain is still a bit annoying. I wouldn't recommend using the set with this digital box at all if you want to use it or play with it or give it a kid or something like that. If you just want to put the steering right and the fork in the right height and put it on a shelf afterwards, it's fully normal, it's quite okay. So if you have a solution for the drivetrain or maybe some tips or hints, please put them in the comments. I really want to use that thing with kids, that they can use it to play with it. So it would be fine or really nice to have knowledge what to change to get this drivetrain problem away. The other mods I did were more of a cosmetic thing there. You can love them, you can hate them. I do like them. I had the feeling that was something missing there. I had the feeling that the back was too open, and so I remedied that for me. But maybe you're gonna get the spirit of it and do it yourself or even do better. I'd like to see some other solutions in the comments as well. The other thing is the battery box that you can mishandle or handle wrong just by plugging a charging cable in and using the thing. I rummaged through a lot of stuff in the last days and then found nothing that behaves like that. Either the things can be charged and used at the same time, which is true for every mobile or tablet computer or something like that, or they simply put the output off if you want to charge them, which is true for most of my flashlights and all that stuff. Letting the thing get up and smoke just because you put in 5 watts of charging power is a bit at least odd to me, and I would think that's a design flaw here and there, especially since the box is run by a microprocessor, and this processor knows well when it's charging and when it's used, so it would be easy to do it in software to cut off the usage or the MOSFETs in this case when charging. Thinking of the building phase, we see it's Go bricks here, and these are maybe the quality leader at the moment considering technique. They even got a lot of special bricks that others like Kada and Lego don't have. They even use those bricks in this set, so if the designer did this design with Lego, they had to do a lot of work to put their own pieces or Go bricks pieces in there to ease the setup a bit in the building process. So no problems there. Even no problems with the coloring. First of all, there is no odd colors built in there. There is gray, there's red, and there is black, and that's basically it. A bit of white maybe. And the pins, they are gray, they are dark gray, they are black, and they are not blue. So if you need the battery box that comes with it and the remote and a lot of good Technic pieces, this is the set also for you. So for parts, this is an next to ideal set. Also for the looks, if you like it and want to put it on a shelf, you can do that without any problems, and I recommend it for that purpose. The problems begin when you like to use the set as a forklift, or if you like to give it to your kids so they can use it as a forklift. And the only thing that I really had problems with this idea is the drivetrain, simply because the differential doesn't work as good as it should. So without an analog box, I wouldn't recommend the set here, and I'm really interested in a solution to this problem. So if you can lend a hand, please put something in the comments there so that I can use this set as I intended to. Thank you. But that's it for the moment. If you like what you've seen, please press the like button. If you didn't like what you've seen, please comment that. And if you have any solution to my problems with the set, please comment that as well. And yes, if you really want to have this sensation or a very similar one every week, please subscribe. So, have fun building, have fun watching, have fun modding, and see you.